I'm the one that you love to hate. Shake 'em up like a quake. Pop your feelings and turn and dispose 'em like haters I throw away. I'm forever blessed. Got the spirit that's wholly controlling me. I ain't gotta coordinate. I just sit back and buckle my bells and I'm ready to blaze in the stars of my destination. Melted broadcast, open vision. Melted broadcast, open vision. Melted broadcast, open vision. Melted broadcast, open vision.
What's going on, everyone? This is Tony Mars.
This is Kilo Berry
with the Melted Broadcast. And today we got Alan, Orlando, and Ian from Not Entirely Plausible. What's up, gentlemen?
Good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you guys are watching this.
Evening. It'll be April 8th. So
yeah,
a little bit of time traveling from now to then. But
exactly.
So how are you guys doing? Alan, tell us a little bit about yourself and, we'll kind of just go through the squares.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so my name's Alan. Let's see. I'll talk a little bit about myself and then about the podcast. But yeah, I've been a podcaster for I guess Ian and I now for we're our seventh year of doing this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
We've run a couple other podcasts. Alonda's on another podcast with me as well. This is our first time. This is kind of a passion project of mine, but that's kind of we all three of us grew up, at least, well, not necessarily born in Virginia, but we're Virginia natives. We'll claim you, Orlando, even though you came here shortly after.
That's how it works in Virginia. That's right.
That's how it works. So grew up in Virginia area, surrounded by military bases and a lot of old history here in colonial Virginia. I mean, the colonial part where the English first came over. So there's just a lot of fun stuff growing up, and I've always been interested in conspiracy theories, more from kind of a skeptic side of things, but just as entertainment more than anything else. And I had watched a bunch of videos, YouTube videos, and YouTube channels I follow, and other podcasts, and then just started to think about like, well, what if I created my own? And came with this kind of idea about a year ago. And I think it was actually Ian, myself, and maybe even Orlando. We were batting around ideas about a year ago about this, and then over time, it just kind of morphed into like, what are we going to do with this? And we're still kind of learning our stride. I mean, we launch. I guess this episode come out on the 8th. We're launching our podcast on the 1st, so in a few days. But we have 8 episodes already recorded at this point. So we already have a bunch in the bag and in the bank. So we've been recording since January, and just doing some social media stuff and gearing up. So yeah, you got us before you even became a thing. If we do become a thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We were the first to have you on.
That's right.
All right. And how about you, Orlando?
I got nothing to add. I mean, Ian, I met through Alan, of course. Alan, he broke me into podcasting because Christmas party, and it's because he was doing the wheel, and I was like, yeah, I read the wheel, and he was like, I was thinking about doing another podcast, and I was like, okay, sure, let's go ahead and do this, and we did the Cosmere, and we're doing this podcast that will never end because the books will never stop being written, it seems.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So and then we talked about this podcast about conspiracy theories. I love conspiracy theories, but I'm also like really big into like researching the hell out of something when I know, which is why I came into this blind. I was like, I do not want to do my usual and do the deep diving, because I will like go bananas and I will research your dog's shit kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to get there. So I figured, hey, look, I'm gonna go into blind, see what happens. But that's kind of how we've been interacting over the years. So
that's good though. I love someone who does gets that get intense with the researching. That's pretty cool. All right, how about you, Ian?
Yeah, so Not Entirely Plausible is right up my alley. Alan knows this. Orlando might be figuring it out right now, but I just like to argue and debate. Honestly, I don't really care what it's about. At least the conspiracy theory type stuff is fun. When we get ready for our episodes, the ones I've done so far, I'll lightly research just enough so I feel like I can talk from any direction, any point of view.
Right.
Sometimes, you'll learn this for the end of the night. Alondo's wicked smart. So sometimes I'll go in thinking one particular side of a theory, and then he'll talk, and I'm like, "Dang, I didn't think of that." So in the middle of an episode, I'm switching up, what I want to argue and what I think, and it's just fun. So I'm not like some anti-government or aliens are coming, or like I don't go wild down any one vein of the conspiracy theory world. I just like it. It's fun. And podcasting, see, they made it sound like they had happy stories stumbling into podcasting. Unfortunately for me, I was just going on about my life, having a great time. And then Alan was like, "Hey, I've got this project I'm starting up. We're going to podcast. We're going to read some books and talk about it and blah, blah, blah. You want to do it?" And I'm a good friend. So I was like, "I'll help you get this off the ground." By the time I agreed to it, I realized that the book series we were doing, so this isn't Not Entirely Plausible, it's the original podcast we did together, was it 12 books total?
14.
14
books,
look,
man.
already.
Nice.
And we only do a couple chapters a week. So we're still doing it. We started in the beginning of 2020 and we're still doing it. So we stuck in the
Man,
So
I
we
Got him for a long
wow.
time. Yeah.
We had an idea for another podcast. I'm like, whatever. My life is podcasting now, anyways. I might as well have another night.
Yeah.
I mean, it is pretty fun though. I love doing it. I think I started this one like 3 years ago. I took a little break because of work, and now got to get back full throttle into it, and just not look back, keep pushing forward.
Awesome.
So, why the name Entirely Plausible?
Not Entirely Plausible. Yeah, so I came up with that. It was just was trying to come up with a clever name for a conspiracy podcast. Is where that came from. It wasn't. There was nothing like a really crazy backstory towards it. I mean, it's just not entirely possible. You'll hear all the time, or that's not entirely possible, or it's not possible, or something like that. So, but the whole plausible aspect of it, is it plausible? Is it not? And that kind of goes with the format. Once I had an idea of a basic format for the podcast, it kind of plays right into it. So just kind of run through a typical episode. Usually we'll introduce a topic, and we'll cover everything from cryptids to government projects, ancient civ, paranormal, weird history, aliens, strange science, even like things that aren't necessarily true conspiracies. It might just be strange science type stuff that just it's real, like quantum physics and stuff like that. But we'll do loose research on it, introduce the topic, and then I go do research. I'm like, what are the most fringe theories, like way out there? And we usually start do like half the podcast on that. Then we take a break and then come back for like what's the most plausible explanations. Because with every conspiracy theory, I always feel like there's a piece of it that's true. Like you have some of these conspiracy theories that like they're so far out there, but you still can draw something out of it. Like, okay, this is way out there, but like this one piece that points to this, and that probably is true, and that's what it was based off of, or something like that. So that's the plausibility. What's the plausible part of it? So kind of a play on that, and then we rank all of our theories our different conspiracy theories at the end, as far as what's, and we rank it 1 to 5, 5 being the you like the most or worse on is it plausible and is it fun? So like,
Okay, I like
you
that.
can have a theory that's like
I like
completely
fun.
not plausible at all, but it's fun. So we're gonna rank that high on the fun category, but it'd be like a 1. That's not. We know it's not real, but it's fun.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
We want to believe those ones, but we know it's.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's no hate on the alien situation, but I mean, sometimes a good alien theory is just fun.
It's just
You
fun.
know,
Yeah,
just
it is.
batting it around.
Absolutely.
It's out in the ethereal. You can't really disprove it, but it's just fun to talk about. It's just fun to debate. So we got to do that.
And so
So-
far, what I've liked on the show and going to the name, Alan came up with it. None of us really argued, but the plausible part was key for me. In my life, I try not to speak in absolutes because you don't know what you don't know, right?
Mhm.
And the show is kind of like that. We've shot down some of the really fringe theories, but even when we do, we always kind of shrug our shoulders and we're like, but you never know. So we don't really close the door on anything. Even if it's really wild.
That's a good topic. So were there any of them conspiracies or anything that you guys thought that was no way, and then later on it proved to be true?
good question. Oh, the 8 that we've covered so far. It's a good question. I mean, we've done some ones that are like the more like that actually happened. I mean, so we
Okay.
did an episode of like Max Headroom and the whole hijacking of the Chicago TV. We did a DB Cooper episode just this week. So those more. There's tons of conspiracies around those topics. Those topics happened, so it's not
Right.
like it's a conspiracy that didn't happen or not. We also did Project Bluebeam, which is like
That was wild.
a little bit more wild. So
Yeah.
it's you have a mix of all of that. So there might be some topics that we cover that this happened, but there's a ton of conspiracies around what it actually is, or it might be something that is more fantastical, like whether it's Argartha, or Lemuria, or Atlantis, or something like that, or there might be some historical evidence, whether you talk Atlantis and Plato, or Lemuria and some old documents, or Terraria, or whatever you want to pick. We talk about ancient Civ, but yeah. I just enjoy talking about all of it. So there's not really one that's changed my mind, I don't think, by our research per se. But we've thrown out really interesting theories, and like kind of like I came into the episode thinking one thing and then left thinking something different.
Yeah.
I think that's more what happens.
That's good.
I've got a classic example of that. And the first thing I thought of was the Anunnaki village episode.
Yeah.
And so we joke like we're going to try not to claim government conspiracy on every single one of our episodes, right? Because everybody says that, oh, the government.
Yeah, true.
So I went into that one, Anunnaki village. All right, there's no way government conspiracy. It just seems like a little, scare the kids story. We don't want to go into this area, so we'll tell them there's like spooky people and blah, blah, blah. But then like the facts started unrolling, that like the actual facts, things we could document. And they're like, all right, people used to live there and they were like very separate from the rest of society and doing their own thing. And then they incurred, like they had to change how they made money. So the economy, coal mining.
They found coal.
So right after coal mining. So they're digging in the ground in this place. Then all of a sudden the government there in Japan is like, we have to relocate all of you, moves them all. And then flash forward a little bit, there's an incident nearby where somebody got murdered, and they also decide to flood it. And anyway, so I'm looking at all these things the government's doing, and well, there is no red flag of, yes, it's government intervention. It just seemed odd that the people were there for so long, not hurting anybody. They start digging in the ground, and all of a sudden the government's like, get out of there. More people are coming around. Wait, flood it. We don't want people in there. Like, it just... Yeah, at that one, I was screaming government conspiracy. Again, because it was fun to say that more than anything. And I had just enough like pinpoints of facts to be able to run with that. So
and that's an episode that you guys are gonna release.
Yeah, that's actually one of the ones coming out on Wednesday this week.
Okay, so
nice.
I'll save my questions.
That'll be out.
I'll
Yeah.
definitely watch the episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So talking about conspiracies, I know there's a few things going on right now. Big things like with these drones returning, the supposed drones that were there back in, what was it, like a year or two ago or something, and now they're back. And now these comments all over the place. What do you guys think is going on with that?
Are the Jersey drones back? I even read that.
Yeah, we got a bunch of drone sightings, and now these comment sightings.
Yeah.
Well, initially, I would say, all right, drone technology, it's growing. There's so many hobbyists. Let me try not to go down too far rabbit hole, because Orlando, this actually made me start to think about some of our Max Headroom theories.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the drones, they're becoming such a thing, and hobbyists are getting their hands on it. But sometimes these hobbyists are like wicked smart, and they're trying to push the envelope of what they can do. And it's harder to regulate drone usage than it is giant airplanes. Right. So maybe a lot of stuff that is going on is a bunch of kids. When I say kids, they could be 40-year-old kids, because I'm a kid. That are getting together with some of their buddies and just trying to push the limits, push the envelope of what they can do and what they can get away with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I was thinking that up until the point when our government said, no, it's just a couple of hobbyists and, no big deal, nothing to see here, don't look. And then I was like, well, now I'm convinced there's something spicy here. When I thought it, that made sense. When you told me, I'm skeptical.
Yeah. So I'm going to put it out there and say that I feel like drones are the 2020s equivalent of the 1900s weather balloons. right? So back in the day,
yeah.
weather
Yeah.
balloons showed up everywhere, and and people were like, oh, well, the government did such and such, but you didn't know where a weather balloon came from.
Right.
You didn't know how it originated. There was no markings on it or whatever. Drone is the present day version of that now, right? So what happens is people see a drone and they just automatically assume government, right? But there's no way to fact check that because number one, it's way up there. What are you going to do with that? But weather balloons up until hell in 1980s and 1990s floating around from China and wherever else.
That was just a couple years ago.
Hell,
when
just a
the
couple years ago.
F-22 shot down the Chinese weather balloon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I remember that.
So that's the reason why it's hard for me to actually try to equivocate, like, a certain drone to be a certain event or something like that, only because, it could have came from anywhere. There's no, international regulation or regulatory body that manages that. So it's always hard for me to try to say, okay, well, this thing equates this government usage or it came from such and such war or whatever. I just kind of chalk it up to it could have come from anywhere, and I try not to lump them all together, wholesale and say it's from this thing or this it's related to this event. Unfortunately, because and they're also cheap. I mean, cheap.
Very cheap.
When I say cheap, I'm not talking about cheap like every homeless person owns one, but I'm just saying that for the most part, if you got the money, you got a few $1,000s and a little bit of ingenuity and the want, you got one, right?
And government agencies are using them more and more. I mean, I know this for a fact. I've met with the chief of police about it. In our local town where we live, every single police officer, their squad car, they carry drones with them with infrared cameras on them. Because if they're doing a chase and a guy gets out of the car and runs into the woods, rather than go falling in, which is a dangerous situation for the police, they just launch a drone out of the side of their car, and they have infrared, so they can sit there and just watch the guy until they have backup, and everything, rather than lose the suspect, they can just watch him the entire time. So the amount of government application for drones is just growing exponentially over the years.
Technology.
I'll tell you what's got me nervous. I have watched a couple of, scrolling on YouTube videos of people getting arrested because a drone will fly over their property and they shoot the drone down. And then they end up getting in trouble or getting arrested. And I think to myself, well, shit, that's exactly what I would do. If I'm outside and that drone's hovering and I move to the left and it moves to the left and I move to the right and it moves to the right, I'm going to do this number, point that way, fake it out. When it turns back around, he's getting both barrels.
There have been a couple of recent court cases about altitude curtilage.
Right.
And you still have, at least we have a castle doctrine in Virginia. I know Florida does. I think Texas does. Actually, I thought Texas does. It's Texas. But not every state has that. But as far as curtilage and what you own going up, there's been a couple of court cases about that for people shooting down or capturing drones with pole skimmers and things like that. And people trying to sue them, no, it's in their curtilage. If they can reach you with a pole skimmer, your drone, you're trespassing.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
There's a couple states, I want to say Florida though, that I've heard where they're trying to implement law where if your drone weighs a certain amount of grams, and I'm paraphrasing here, but if it weighs a certain amount of grams, then they have some kind of way they're trying to regulate that. So don't quote me on that, but some to that degree where they are trying to get some kind of regulation over the drones, which I think helps to a certain degree, but also don't infringe on my rights also though.
Yeah, great point though. It's kind of like what I was talking about. The technology's kind of exploded and gotten pretty cheap. Yeah. Anybody can start doing this, right? At very small levels of investment. But the laws are not ahead of this.
Yes.
The technology got way ahead of what our state and federal and local governments have legislated for. And so Alan made a good point. You did also, but the courts and the general assemblies and, state legislators, they're kind of figuring this out after the fact.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, in our area, we don't have because we have so much military in our area. We're besides the Pentagon, the Pentagon's the most highest military concentration in the country. We're second in our area. So we have lots and lots of military bases around here. So the rules about flying drones around here is extremely strict. But that doesn't mean there hasn't been weird sightings. I mean, I know over at Langley Air Force Base, which is 10 minutes from my house, they've seen weird sightings of things and they've thought it was other governments trying to spy. was because they keep the F-22 wings there. So all the F-22 fighters are over there, and then Norfolk Naval and Oceanic, which is all the F-18s. So of course they have all the UFO off of Virginia Beach, which is right where we live. So
And just
Yeah.
put in perspective, Alan, isn't Langley the deployment for anything that comes in contact or near the White House? I think it launches
They'll launch
from
from
Langley.
they launched
So
there
I
in
mean-
Edwards. In Edwards.
And
Yeah.
Edwards, that's right. But yeah, Langley is like we are like first deployment. Anything happens around the White House,
Yeah, they
boom,
stay
it comes
ready.
from Langley and just immediately goes out.
Well, they,
so.
they have the 22 wing, so the F-22s are pretty crazy.
Mhm. Yep.
Well, that brings up a question. Then, when we had the 9/11 and all that, would they say that one plane did go to the White House? Did you think you guys deployed anything in that scenario?
Unfortunately, I read the documentary. I've read the book on that. I've seen the documentaries. I have like deep dive that, so I'm gonna refrain only because I've been tainted by all these records and flight records and
Right.
they interviews with the pilots and stuff. But so I'll refrain. So I'm gonna leave it
Okay,
there.
all right.
Alan and Ian, what you guys think?
I don't know. I mean, I know so many. I'm friends with so many fighter pilots. And sometimes when they drink a lot, they get pretty loose-lipped. And
True.
and I've never heard
I've heard.
anything otherwise. I mean, not to say that they have. I mean, I have one friend that was a Navy fighter pilot, and then he was a test pilot for NASA. And he'll talk about all those missions. And then one time we were drinking, and I was just kind of joking with him, and I was like, you ever been to Antarctica? And he's like, actually, I was the only pilot ever to land on the South Pole, for a NASA mission. And I was like,
No way.
whoa, well, let me ask more questions. Like, not going to answer any of them. And I was like, damn it, come on, Like, I need to know.
You should have bought him more beer.
Yeah, exactly. Need more wine. Pour them more wine. Like, let's go.
Yeah. So you guys believe that there's that big massive hole that's over there in Antarctica?
Who knows?
All right, Antarctica is weird. There's very few things that multiple nations can agree upon at all
True.
in this world.
Yeah, I
In
know.
fact, next to nothing. The only thing that people seem to respect are the rules that they're agreeing upon down there in Antarctica.
Yes.
And that makes me question, right? And there's certain areas that everybody agrees not to fly over. There's certain areas where each of these countries that have kind of planted their flag where they do research and they don't kind of like cross boundaries with each other. Now you could say it's the weather and everything else that, forces them into that. But I haven't seen anywhere else in history, anywhere else in the world where there are handshake agreements between all these countries that everybody's respecting. So that alone makes me go, what is going on down there?
I know.
It's an interesting subdivision they have set up in Antarctica too. I mean, it's one of the most insane things. It's like a pie sliced in a really weird way, and everybody's agreed to it.
Yeah.
Right.
You gotta wonder, right?
It's weird.
Things to make it go.
We can't subdivide nothing on this earth, but somehow or another,
Yeah, over there.
they figured that out, right?
And it makes me think, that whole, is it the hole to Agartha, the inner earth?
Yeah, we did a whole episode on that. I
Yeah.
mean, we'll probably do a more deep dive in Antarctica when we get we're gonna do an episode on that. We did do an Agartha episode. That's gonna come out on Wednesday as well. But we did our Agartha one.
What was the name of the pilot?
Okay.
Admiral Byrd.
Admiral Byrd.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Bird. Yes.
Yeah, go read what he wrote on it, and he stuck to his guns about his story for the longest time, and it's at the very least very entertaining. But his story definitely mirrors some other fictional stories that are out there.
They go and get in this crazy battle or something.
Yeah, he's
with
got the credentials.
Saucers.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys say you guys are putting out 2 episodes on Wednesday? Did I hear that
actually
correctly?
releasing our first 5 come out. We're doing a content wall, so it's gonna be 5 episodes. Yeah, it's a big dump, and then it'll be 1 episode a week after that. So there's gonna be a big drop. It's gonna be the Moon-Eyed People of Appalachia, which Ian and I have hiked the Appalachians extensively here in Virginia, in parts of North Carolina. And then we're doing Agartha, Project Bluebeam, Anunnaki Village, and then there's this intro episode where we just kind of all get together. So it's not like a particular topic, just kind of here we are.
Nice.
So while you guys were hiking the Appalachian Mountains, you guys ever see anything crazy out there? The Bigfoot
Yeah, we saw big feet.
We saw big, yeah. Those were cat paws. Those were cat paws. Those were big
Yeah.
cat paws that were stalking us out there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff in the Appalachians. I mean, there's lots of cults that live up there. The Seven Nations cult lives up there in Virginia, and they prey on hikers. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff.
Oh
Of
shit.
course,
I didn't know that.
there's things with Wendigos and skinwalkers and all the Native American are legends up there as well. Bigfoot, of course, is another legend from up there. But yeah, it's Appalachia's weird. It's a nice hike though. I mean, Appalachian Trail is
Beautiful.
you know, it's beautiful hikes and beautiful mountaintops that you can go that are just good scenic views. And I did most of that hiking when I was younger. Ian still hikes there a lot more than I do these days, just because I have small kids and they're not quite old enough to hike yet. But
Yeah.
I'll get back out there.
Yeah.
All right. So, and also you said that you're a traveler, two travelers, right? Correct.
I think we've all traveled a pretty extensive amount.
Yeah.
I personally tried to sail around the world when I was younger, so I did a lot of my trails by sailboat, just in the middle of the ocean and things like that. Alando goes everywhere in the world every year, and Ian was former Army, so he traveled everywhere.
Yeah, I wanted to travel right out of college, but I had college debt and I was poor. So I was like, let me get the U.S. government to pay for me to travel. And they did. They sent me places.
Yeah,
Lots of travel.
Yeah, they sent me
There you
straight to
go.
Iraq.
Yeah. Hey, I did. I got to go to Nineveh, though, which is in Iraq.
Oh, did you really?
Nineveh, the place where Jonah, we got spit out and went to go preach. So that was neat, and got to visit a couple of Coptic Christian churches there. That,
Oh, no
I mean,
way.
they were founded a long, long time ago. So
That's pretty cool. Yeah, they sent us to Kirkuk and then a little bit further north to Mosul.
yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty
it's
crazy.
interesting. Yeah.
But
But hey, I didn't have to pay for that plane ticket. Uncle Sam sent me. So yes.
yeah, I should have went to South Korea my first orders.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't even get in trouble there though. I was lucky enough. My first duty station was in Germany. And when I
Lucky.
got there, they knew we were going to deploy. So before we got close to it, every weekend was a 4-day weekend. They would sign passes left and right, let people stay with their families. Well, I was singling in the barracks. So from there, I traveled everywhere in Europe, every country Germany touches, and then some, for like 6 months straight before we finally deployed. But I went to and did it the poor way, riding the trains, thumbing for a
Yeah.
ride, living off bread and cheese and cheap wine. It was fantastic.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
it was good.
All right. So let's jump back into conspiracies. What's the biggest conspiracy that you think is going on right now that's still actually like a live conspiracy, like
Well-
ongoing?
Well, if you don't mind, if you guys don't mind, I will prefer Alando answer that question, seeing that he has the background in the what is it, SE the city?
SETI. Oh yeah, I told him that you did some stuff for SETI.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Going back in the
okay.
day.
Yeah, we're definitely interested in that.
Yeah,
So,
that got
all
that got
right.
my antennas going.
I see what you did there. So SETI, yeah, so it really wasn't so much about the search as much as I'm a huge IT guy. I've been programming computers since I was 12. And so anything where I can get into where it's a mass use of computational capability to accomplish a major goal, I'm all into. So SETI is one of them, and the other was folding, which was spearheaded by Stanford. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, Stanford. And that was basically folding proteins to try to identify ways to cure cancer and things like that. So SETI is one that I was like really into, and I would deploy like fleets of computers and stuff to help with that. But I got more into it about observing the heavenly bodies around us more so than anything else. Not so much about the search for intelligence, right?
Right.
I mean, when you think about how much of the universe around us is uncatalogued and unmarked.
Yeah.
That to me is scary as hell, and so that's the reason why I got into it. But I don't really have any conspiracy theories aligned with that as much as I just like to know, hey, look, let's track all these orbiting bodies, right? I mean, everybody's seen, Armageddon and Deep Impact and all the movies, and get scared. They had the scare that happened last year, I think it was, about the one asteroid they talked about could possibly, come within
Yeah.
close range. And of course, that was, eventually, I won't say debunked, but it was found out that it's not gonna, come in within a few astronomical units or whatever it was of the Earth.
Still
That all
relatively
being,
close.
Still might hit the moon. It still might hit the moon.
it could hit the moon. That's true. It could hit the
Still one of
moon,
the
which
best.
would still be catastrophic.
Yeah.
It
And
would
the
still
moon
be
is here
catastrophic.
already.
You're talking about
Yeah.
the AI Atlas?
No,
Say what?
not the AI Atlas one. This is a different one. I know which one you're talking about. Apophis.
Yes, there you go.
That was
Apophis is the
Apophis.
name. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't really have any conspiracy theories around that. Unfortunately, the only conspiracy theories that I really gravitate to is more governmental intrigue and stuff, and I'm not talking about just US, but just kind of like, hey, what's going on with that? The whole situation that happened in South Korea with that, possible overthrow that they was trying to,
Yeah.
I was really interested in that and how that all came to be. I feel like there's a lot more that wasn't said about that, was kind of swept under the rug. And I'm like, that's a real wild hair to get up your butt one day to say, we're going to try to overthrow the Korean government. And I felt that was a little wild. The stuff that's going on with our, government right now and the things that are happening, I don't really have a lot of conspiracy theories because I kind of feel like it's just, to be frank, stupidity. And I feel like it's all out there. So there's no conspiracy to me on that. I'm like, it is what it is. I feel like it's just right out there. I just, again, I just like everything to come to light. That's probably the most I can say about any of that. I don't really have much more. Interesting, you guys coming back to the SETI thing though, because I never thought about it from the conspiracy angle. I just got into it because I just wanted to track celestial bodies.
And with that, so I have one more question if you don't mind. So
yeah,
you said you did with the IT and the bot process of it. For those who don't have the capacity to kind of mentally see that, the gear and the computers and the load that they brought in, was that massive compared to anything average?
So the way it worked, and I'm going to go back to early 2000s, right? Okay. So if you take obviously any computer and what its capabilities are, it's pretty massive. I mean, Again, we have watches now that have more computational power than what sent people to the moon in the 60s, right? But if you can continue to take that and, really for the most part, a CPU can only do so much. It does it quickly, right? But it's still basically, it can only process one thing at a time unless you get multiple cores, and then it can do 4 things at a time or something like that. So the best way to get it to think on a continuing path of multiplication of capabilities is you add more computers and you kind of group them together in a co-processing matrix, essentially. And so that's what SETI is. It's like, okay, well, instead of me getting a super fast computer that still can only process so many things at a time, let's put 2 computers together. No, let's make it 1,000 computers together. No, let's make it 10,000 and just keep extrapolating from there. So that's what I got into was, I had, at the time, I was managing offices of computers. And what they would do is I would put the application on those computers because for the 8 hours a day we're working, obviously priorities work. That means there's 16 hours a day a computer is sitting on doing nothing. And I was like, I have fleets of computers. Let me set them all to do something beneficial while they're just sitting there. So at first it was kind of SETI, and then I switched it to the folding. And so at night, basically for 16 hours, it would just sit there and just take proteins and fold them and, see if it could identify, these abnormalities that would happen that cause things like cancer or other, terrible human conditions. So yeah, that's how I got into all of that years ago. And then eventually I just stopped. And it's a lot to deploy, and also it's a lot to manage. I mean, when you're talking about hundreds of computers, I
Yeah.
had to go around, I had to make sure they were all on and nothing broke, and no services failed on them, all that kind of stuff. So that's
My
how it
boy,
worked. I hope that explains it. If
Oh, yeah,
it
definitely.
doesn't, okay.
Yeah,
my
no,
boy's
that-
wicked smart. How do you like them apples?
So what's y'all's take on the paranormal phenomenon?
As far as like just ghosts and things like
Just
that,
in general.
I mean, things like interdimensional beings, things like that, it always fascinates me. I'm a big science nerd, I guess you could say. So anything on like quantum physics level and things like that, I'm always really interested in that. Looking at like
Interdimensional beings?
yeah, like looking at
Interdimensional beings. Yes.
interdimensional beings, like rather than extraterrestrial, that's just interdimensional. I mean, talking about the multi-universe theory and things like that,
Yeah.
a lot of the entities that we see or interact with might not be extraterrestrial, just because of the when you're looking at normal physics, just the vastness of space, how long it takes to get from one place to the other, versus an interdimensional being, which is using quantum physics, which is a different rules.
Right.
Much more likely. And when you look at like the UAP phenomenon or the UFO phenomenon, I'll be the first one to admit, I think about 95% of all sightings and things like that are probably very explainable. It's that 5% that really is like, what is going on? And as someone who has seen some stuff, I guess you could say, with my own eyes, that always interests me.
What kind of things have you seen?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this briefly before, and we're gonna do a whole episode on it. But you talk about orbs. I'll talk about that for example. When I was sailing in northern Australia, off of Queensland, I was heading north, inside the Great Barrier Reef between mainland and the reef, and I was on watch at night. Everybody else was sleeping, so I'm just steering the sailboat by myself, traveling north. And at first, I thought it was a moonrise because there's this orange ball coming up, and it looked like the moon. And then as I'm following it for about an hour, I realized that I'm heading north, and the moon doesn't rise in the north; it rises just like the sun in the east. So it's not the moon. And then I start thinking like, okay, well, it might be a fishing boat or something with a big light on or something like that. That just off the distance, there's these fishing platforms out there and things like that where they do night fishing. They put big spotlights out to catch lots of fish. So I start thinking it's really that. I'm sitting just following this thing, middle of the night, and then all of a sudden it gets bigger, and it comes about 30 yards, 30 meters from the boat, and just flies about the size of a small shed, makes no noise at all. So I would say it's, probably about 16 feet across. That's how wide it was. And it went right past the boat, no sound at all. Turned back around, nothing behind us, just pitch black behind us. It was just gone.
That's crazy.
To this day, I have no idea what it was, but it wasn't in the water. It was above the water, about 5 feet up above the water. Went right past the boat and buzzed us. And I still to this day, it took me a long time to talk about it because I'm like, no one's gonna believe me. So it's just one of those things where I was like, I just saw something. Like the crew woke up because I would like say like, oh shit, kind of thing, and they all came out like, what's going on? I was like, I saw something. They got the flashlights out. We're all looking back spotlights and couldn't see anything, and I was like, I don't even want to tell you what I saw because and I would like chalk it up to like maybe I was just really tired, but it was hours of me watching this thing. So like it wasn't like I just had a brief hallucination. Like it's just.
Yeah.
It was hours of me watching this thing.
I mean, you've been on the boat for a while. Maybe
Yeah.
your food storage wasn't that great.
Maybe
You
had
could
some
have-
mushrooms that were mixed in somewhere. It could have been that.
It was a manatee mermaid.
That's
It
the
could have
trouble
been
about
that.
these
I don't
stories about
know.
food.
But
That's
stuff like that. I
flashback.
mean, in back then when this happened, I went online because the internet did exist, and there wasn't much on orbs or stuff like that. And over the years, more people started talking about orbs. I'm like, that's what I saw. Like it's exactly describes what I saw myself. So, just really weird. I have no idea what it was. Still to this day, something weird.
It's crazy that you say that. My wife had went on a cruise, I think last year, and she was out on top outside in the middle of the night taking videos, and she got a really pretty good video about of it. It's a pretty big size orb.
Yeah.
And it starts far away, comes close to the ship, and then goes underwater and starts like like just swimming in the water. It comes back out, sits there, and then shoots back off. And she showed me the video. I'm like, you took this? She's like, yeah. I'm like, no shit. I was like, that's crazy.
Oh,
It was like clear as day, and it was
Yeah.
it was like a super bright freaking orb.
Yeah, orange was the color this one was. It was like a. It looked like you know like the moon rises. It has that orange tint
Yeah.
when it's low on the horizon. It looked like that.
yeah. There's a lot of people talking now that what we've thought were aliens from outer space are alien to us, but they've always been here.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot
Mhm.
of living underwater, deep in the oceans, or
Yes.
even underground. We mentioned the Antarctica stuff, and when you from that context, you start reading into stories that have been told from time immemorial of what people have seen out on the water. Uh, in the early days of shipping, people would come back with really tall tales, but you can start to see consistencies in stories. So again, maybe science explains it, or maybe there are some beings that are living down at the bottom of the ocean and they've just been avoiding us because they don't like us.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much
I
phenomena
kind of
out
lean
there.
towards that one.
Yeah, there's so much phenomena out there that that when you have these old stories, people just always chalk it up to like, oh, it's a one-off. And then as technology's increased, I take rogue waves for example. Like sailors had stories about
Yeah.
these massive 100-foot rogue waves that came out of nowhere and took out ships, and there was like only a few survivors, and they would go back and say, oh, it was a rogue wave, and everybody like, okay, what were you? You know, you're obviously getting scurvy and having delusions and
Right.
tripping that those don't exist. And then as we have satellite data, they're really common. So like it's one of those
Yeah.
things like for years it was just dismissed as an old sailing story, and then you find out no, they're real. And there's plenty of now scientific evidence for them. So I think as technology improves, it kind of unveils that veil
Yeah.
on a lot of things.
And dovetailing on that, by the way, and I'm going to go ahead and put the poll out to all of you, and I'm sure Alan knows the answer to this question. What percentage of sea life do you guys think have been discovered in
Is
the
it
world?
That is a
like
good question.
10%?
Like
You were
5
right
might
there.
be
10. It's like
right?
10
Okay.
to something percent, 10 to 15%.
Yeah.
That means we're not even scratching the surface
At all.
So is there a possibility these orbs are something, territorial, celestial, well, not celestial, sorry, but earthbound
Terrestrial.
that just
Yeah.
is just not noticed or
Yeah.
commonly seen. And I think that there's high plausibility for that. Easily.
We don't know what we don't know.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of stories about, I guess, half human, half fish people coming up. I forgot what culture it was in. I want to say it was like one of the Sumerian cuneiforms that they found about some dude who came out the ocean, like it was
It's
half
one of their
fish.
gods.
Yeah, one of their guys that came and taught them, like the sciences and, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
That's why. All right. So funny story, maybe not funny, but so that god that is half fish, half man, that is the reason why Jonah was so successful in his preaching in Nineveh. So you're like, if you think about it, the setup is these people in Nineveh, they don't believe in God. They believe in multiple gods. They don't live anything like how the God of the Bible says you're supposed to live, and instructs Jonah to go there and just preach. And Jonah's like, why would I do that? It's not going to work. Why would I go to this place where they don't even know who you are? And so he tries to run away from it, swallowed by the whale. He gets spit out on the shore. The people that see him when he gets spit out immediately are like, oh my goodness. And like they're telling the story as he's coming into town to preach.
Yeah.
And when he goes to preach, everybody listens to him because he literally, God of the Bible, sent him in a way that made him look like the God of these people. The whale and then the being coming out of the mouth. They're like, holy
Okay.
cow, this
I see.
is our God speaking to us. So, I mean, up to you how you want to believe that or whatever. But I always, when I was younger, I thought about it. I was like, okay, cool. God commands people to do stuff. They fight it. Eventually, they capitulate and then everything works out. But there's more to the planning that God's putting in there. He's like, I'm going to use you in such a way. I'm going to get you there in such a way that everybody there is going to be like, holy cow, I recognize this as a being that like a person that I have to listen to. So kind of cool.
So Nineveh, that's Mesopotamia?
Yeah, well, it's part of modern day Iraq.
Modern day Iraq. So
it's up to the Euphrates.
I
Right.
know like over
Yeah.
in Samaria, they had the ancient gods, the ones that they worshipped,
Yeah.
and there was the two brothers,
Anunnaki.
yeah, the Anunnaki, and Enki and Enlil,
Mhm.
and they supposedly they were the ones in the Bible, the God and the serpent.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have done a deep dive on that.
We haven't done one yet, but I have
Mm-mm.
personally. Sure.
No, we have
Right.
not.
Alan and I have talked extensively about this one. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I think it's neat. Remember when the show Ancient Aliens came out?
Oh, yeah.
And then people would watch it for entertainment value, but be like, this is so crazy. And then when they really started getting into the Anunnaki, still people were like, oh, this is such a stretch. But eventually I start looking at it, and it's not like it contradicts. And, I keep bringing up the Bible, but, where I'm at, a lot of whether they're Christian, Jewish, Islam, or whatever, a lot of belief in the Old Testament of the Bible, right? It doesn't exactly contradict it. You have people so violently defending against it, and then you read like the first 6 lines of Genesis, or really early on in Genesis, and it starts getting into Nephilim. It starts getting into the gods that procreated with, the human women, and this giant race is born. And I'm reading it and I'm going, how did ancient aliens get into my Bible? Like, what's the copyright on this Bible? No? Okay, I guess it was always there. So even if it's just fantastical and like kind of made up wild theories, they did it integrates so well with some of that early biblical history. It kind of makes you question things.
Yeah,
and I will say what a coincidence, but we don't believe in coincidence.
Right. We'll leave it at plausible. I'm not gonna close the door on it.
Yeah, ancient
It's
aliens.
fun to talk about either way.
Yeah, they definitely got me doing a deep dive, especially on the Anunnaki, and that's whenever I first looked into the Sumerian kings list, and the list of all these rulers who ruled for this amount of shars, which is I believe is like 3,600 years a shar, and 13, 14 shars. These rulers were ruling our planet, and that's when I really started doing a deep dive and got into Enki and Enlil and all that. And it just blew my mind. I actually got to see Ancient Aliens was doing like a tour here in the U.S. They came to Houston. They had some pretty interesting stuff. It was pretty cool.
Cool. That's awesome.
Since you spent some time in Iraq, I'll ask you if you've ever thought about this or asked around about it. I don't know the time frame you were there, but pretty much the whole time we were there, we had people whose job it was to try and protect antiquities as best they could. And by protect, we were trying to get our hands on them and get them out of there before anybody else could. And this might sound like Indiana Jones in World War II, what the Germans and everybody else were doing. And I don't want to sound ridiculous, but like it really felt like that. And then here's the thing, we did get our hands on and help protect a ton of ancient stuff, a lot of cuneiform tablets, stuff that hasn't even really been scientifically studied, translated, put out there. We got our hands on a lot of this. I don't know where it ended up. Do we have it? Did it end up in other museums? The rumor was we were helping the Iraqi government protect it, so maybe it's still in Iraq, but I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I doubt that.
And so was there an effort by us or other allied nations to Indiana Jones style, get our hands on all of this stuff and, decipher it and, unlock secrets of our past and future?
Yeah.
Possibly.
I mean, I never met anybody whose job was actually to go do that. I heard about it, and I heard about sending our guys to go help protect the stuff, and other agencies coming in and taking everything, and who knows where they took them. And then I had read something about that they were going in there and taking all this stuff. They wanted the information, but then also they were in Iraq because they were there to, I guess, get into Gilgamesh's tomb.
Tomb. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of that was this little agency that's actually just south of us called in Moyock, North Carolina. You know that one, Ian?
Oh, Blackwater?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever they call themselves
Triple
now.
Canopy now?
Right. I think they had bad publicity with the last name, so they just changed their name. Nothing else.
They changed the name. Yeah,
they're
exactly.
Triple Canopy.
Yeah.
I got some training from those guys. when we were in Theater Reserve. At least the folks I was with.
I had a friend that worked for a communications company. You're friends with them too, and he did all their communication sales. And he went down to their headquarters down there in Moyoc, and they're like, you want to go in a helicopter and shoot a 50 cal? And he's like, I'm a civilian. He's like, so are we? Let's go. Like, like we know the military rules.
Man.
We can do whatever
Who
we
doesn't
want.
want to go on a helicopter and shoot a
Yeah,
50?
So Ian, I'm going to say that I think there could be some altruistic possibility in what was happening, though. I mean, because when you think about what happened in Damascus with the Syrian war, I mean, we're talking about, a lot of stuff was destroyed purposefully, and that is gone. It's gone forever now, right? And I mean, you're talking about one of the
for so many people around the world, not just that area. So many people tie their history to that.
And I can see, someone saying, I mean, with the best of intentions and saying, we really are protecting, not like back in the day where like, Britain would invade and they would go to like Egypt and India and take all the things out, put it in museums. And they were like, we're protecting it. And you're like,
right.
Sure, y'all. No, I'm talking really, I think in those situations, we talk about, I mean, Mesopotamia, essentially, the Tiger and Euphrates, all the areas around that. I can believe that someone really was thinking to themselves, let's not let this happen again.
Sure.
Where they're really trying to hold on to these antiquities and make sure that they're there for generations beyond us. I'm putting that out there. That's my conspiracy theory. How about that?
I agree with you, and you are probably 100% right. On the fun scale, it's fun to think, that somebody put
well
all
done,
of those
sir.
into a museum. There's a team of people that like they're the only ones allowed to read it and decipher it, and they're unlocking major secrets. And soon we're going to figure out how to power the pyramids back up and have unlimited energy free for everybody. That's fun to think about.
There you go.
Yeah, that's another one that free energy suppression. That's another one that I always love those theories. Anything ancient civ or like government cover-ups, they're always fun for me. I love those.
We haven't decided when we're going to do an episode on free energy conspiracy stuff because none of us want to have an accidental heart attack in a couple weeks after we release the episode. That's what happens to everybody that stumbles into any kind of truth there.
Certain political ones, we're waiting on those.
I got to fortify my house first that weekend, so we just got to make sure,
Now, that being said, I love my life. I'm not depressed.
There you go.
I'm very happy with my work, my kids, my family. Yeah, want to put that out there.
I always got to give that. Yeah, there you go.
So whenever supposedly they go and they get into Gilgamesh's tomb or whatever, what do you think, besides him being like an Anunnaki god, like what do you think they're trying to get from it? Like, what do you think he has, or that they read maybe in the epic, that they think he has maybe some sort of technology that could be used for good or bad?
I mean, I think throughout history, you have what a time suppression of knowledge and things like that. I mean, I'm sure there is knowledge there that's missing. I mean, it goes back to the old joke. What's the thing you're most bitter about right now? Like they burned the Library of Alexandria. I'm still bitter about it. So trying to find some knowledge that we've lost so much knowledge over the years. Whether you brought up Syria and Damascus, and just now that's more like statues and things like that. But there's still knowledge there. I mean, obviously, I think with the Tomb of Gilgamesh, if it does in fact is there and they're able to find it. I think just trying to glean more of that history that we just have pieces of, because over the years, a lot of it's been destroyed. I mean, that's especially in the ancient world. I mean, that was the status quo. Is when you came in to conquer, you destroyed not only the people but the culture too, because you wanted no rebels to come back up. So you just wiped out their histories.
Or you can change the face of the statue to your face. You don't have to destroy the statue. You can just put your face on it.
You just put your face on it. Yeah.
Or change.
Yeah, but the most powerful weapon in the world is demoralization.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
all right, I'm going to take a different stance. So Alan and Alando want to think of the best in humanity and governments here for these specific topics, and I applaud you for that. But when it comes to efforts like this, it takes money. It takes coordination between governments. It takes certain diplomatic agreements. It takes powerful people behind the scenes. And I'm not even just talking politicians. So, I'm biased by 80s and 90s movies. So that's influencing this. But these powerful people that have lots of money, what do they want? They all want immortality and to live forever. And I don't know how true this is. This could be one of these random rabbit holes I went down where there's talk about how if you look at human DNA, it is possible that we could live for these thousands of years, but there's some fatal flaw in it at this point where it kind of taps us out. We start to degrade at a certain point or whatever. So maybe they're going to try and find and look at the odds of them finding DNA from this dude from many thousands of years ago, slim to none. But trying to find something there where they can unlock those secrets to living longer or near immortality. I could see that being a motivation.
Well, you just have to ask Keanu Reeves or Nicolas Cage to figure that out. So.
Or Tom Cruise.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
what about? Nah, go
Ian,
ahead.
you're right on it though, man. That aging gene is a thing they've been researching for forever, and they keep saying, "I think we found the aging gene."
Yeah.
It comes up like every couple years. It's like, so I think you're on to something.
Yeah.
When you talk about that spiral, that
part of the motivation.
I agree. I just saw something recently that said something about that. I think they said China. They think China found it, but again, you hear it every so often. I agree with that.
Every couple years.
I mean, the
Somebody
original.
says they think we figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's stem cell research or CRISPR and doing genetic action modifications.
Oh, CRISPR was huge. Yep.
Yeah, technologies and things like that. There's tons of conspiracies out there about all that stuff, or even chewing on pineal glands or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Hell no. So what about, speaking of immortality, like transferring your consciousness into another body?
Well, there's quantum life theory too.
Man.
I think that's very possible.
Let's go.
Supposedly that's what they're doing already with the cloning.
Alonzo will probably know more or have a more educated approach to this, but I've always thought with the expansion of technology and our computing capabilities, if we could eventually get essentially a hard drive and processing power compatible with the human brain, that it would be possible to transfer consciousness. Now, I know there are so many connections that have to be made to solve that problem, and we're probably nowhere near that. But I think if we keep progressing in a certain way, it's possible. I hope it's possible.
Okay, so I have a question for that. So say they transfer my consciousness into another body. Like, my thing is, it's going to be in my memories and all that stuff, but is it still going to be me? Like, if they take it out right now, my meat suit is done with, they put it into another meat suit. Like, is that body gonna, like, am I still gonna be aware that, oh yeah, they just transferred my consciousness and this is my new body? Or am I just gonna be, wake up one day and just have all these memories and like,
is it the Avatar theory where I have to put my tail into like a tree and then I turn into like a blue giant alien? Or
So this is an amazing video game, and I'm gonna ruin this video game. I'm sorry, everybody, but it's called Some. It came out in 2015, so you haven't played it. You're not gonna play it yet, right? So time's already passed for you. In this video game, you're a guy, and you are essentially in, like, let's just say 2015. I don't remember the exact years. He is just like put to sleep, and then he wakes up like 10 years later. And he's roaming around. He runs into all these robots, and all these robots think they're human, and they really think they're human. They're like, I'm a dude. And he's like, no, you're not. You're a robot. Whatever. Then they realize the Earth is actually getting ready to basically go through a cataclysmic event, blow up, whatever. He is working hard to get the consciousness of all these other people from these robots and all this stuff into this bullet, essentially, and have it shot off of Earth so that way they could save their lives. Essentially, all their consciousness, all things they embody, they're thinking. At the end of this game, you do the thing and you succeed and you shoot the bullet. Everything goes black, and then you wake up and you're still on Earth. And you're like, wait, I thought we succeeded. And the AI person that's working with you is like, we did succeed. And he's like, but I'm still here. She's like, your version is still here.
Oh,
The one of you is on
Yeah.
that bullet. It's going to survive. So then it's like, well, yeah, but that's the other version of me. The me that's here. What? And so it gets this philosophical thing going, though.
Yeah.
Now there's two versions of you. Which is the real you?
Yeah.
Now the one that's you
Yeah.
that's getting ready to like die on Earth. You're like, I didn't succeed.
maybe,
Jack squat.
nothing.
Maybe it's similar to
Yeah.
like the quantum life theory, where it's just like a consciousness transfers to another timeline, and that we all died in 2012 when CERN turned on the collider,
When
and,
it turned head on,
and we just shifted timelines, and that's why we have Mandela effects. That's why everything else. It's just all because.
But the
all died.
philosophical implications are insane if you really think about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's people that have been trying to warn us about what happened in 2012 when
CERN turned on.
got turned on.
Yeah.
Like when they took out Harambe, that was somebody reaching from this other dimension, trying to, like, oh, hey, things are really messed up. Wake up! And
who was drinking? Thanks, Ian.
That was supposed to be the wake up call, people.
That was supposed to be.
Oh man.
So
So
you could almost throw any topic out there, and the three of us. Well, Alan, you didn't even mention we have many other people that are signed up to do NEP with us, and it's all different personalities. But like I said, kind of the commonality is that everybody's pretty open minded, and you could bring up any topic. Each one of us will have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's gonna be right.
That's awesome.
I'm not even gonna say mine is gonna be well informed, but I'm gonna talk.
That's right. That's all of us.
So I do have a question. Who's the brain, or what was the brain behind putting everyone together and just having this big network of?
That was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a brainchild of mine. And the idea that I got was just to have a bunch of hosts, and the reason being is rather than having the same talking heads and you kind of get used to it, every episode is kind of a different dynamic, because you'll have people on there that are our researchers that have really opinionated, and you'll have other people on there, and I'll pick on Tree, for example. I don't know how many times she's watched the intro video that I make, and then she just like, it flashes to her with her jaw hanging out, like, what am I doing tonight? Like, what is this? Like, what am I getting myself into? So it's fun to have that dynamic where it's, you have the skeptics, you have the believers, or people that want to believe, and then you just have people there for the chaos and just to have fun with it and just to banter. And having that mix was kind of my idea, and kind of switching it up a lot between different personalities. So so far it's been pretty fun.
I think that was a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm looking forward to checking out some of you guys' episodes as well.
Yeah.
See these deep dives. I mean, you guys are definitely an interesting group of people. So
yeah, we need to have you guys on. We need to Alan, we need to throw them in the mix, man. Get them on.
Hey, let's do it. Definitely.
Send them a topic that we're gonna cover soon. We can do it. Yeah, we got a bunch coming up.
Yeah, definitely. Or go back and forth, do a part 2, go on y'all's. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But after it drops in a couple of days, the first handful of episodes, watch a few. If that feels like your vibe, he puts links to like our Discord and everything, and you can get in there. That'll be a great way to communicate. And if there's a topic you're passionate about, or you've yourself researched a lot and you're like, I'd love to talk about it, shoot us a message.
Definitely.
If it's neat and enough people are like, yeah, let's do it, then yeah, we'll talk about it.
Sounds good. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up for the night. Like I said, I got to be up at 3.
Okay.
But bro, thank you guys for coming on. And where can they reach you? Check out all your stuff. Your sites, your pages, your handles.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, everything can be found on notentirelyplausible.com. We had that website. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We have our own Discord server as well. It will be available on Spotify, eventually on Apple Podcasts as well. Apple takes a little longer for that whenever I launch a podcast, I have to tell everybody when it's new, it takes a while for Apple to adopt it. It's just weird. Right. Apple's weird. You guys, if you guys do those kind of things, it happens weird.
Yeah.
Also on YouTube as well. We're going to be on YouTube, at all those places. But you can find links to all of that at the website, notentirelyplausible.com.
Nice.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks guys for coming on again, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yes, it's been a
All right.
pleasure.
you.
Thank you guys.
Take
Have,
care.
have a great
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks,
sir.
everybody.
All right.
People say that I'm one of the greats, I'm the one that you love to hate. Shake 'em up like a quake, pop your feelings and turn and dispose 'em like haters I throw away. I'm forever blessed, got the spirit that's holy controlling me, I ain't gotta coordinate. I just sit back and buckle my bells and I'm ready to blaze in the stars of my destination. Melted broadcast, open vision, melted broadcast, open vision, melted broadcast.